This video reveals 7 dark psychology tricks people use every day without you noticing. Most manipulation is not loud. It is quiet, subtle, and extremely effective. Most people don't lose power in conversations because they are weak. They lose power because they don't see the psychological game being played. Every day, someone is influencing your decisions, shaping your perception, guiding your reactions. Not with force, but with psychological pressure you never notice. And once you see these patterns, you begin to understand something disturbing. Human interaction is not random. It is strategy. Most people believe conversations are simple. You talk, someone responds, opinions are exchanged. But beneath the surface, something else is happening. People are constantly testing who holds emotional control, who reacts first, who seeks approval, who fears losing connection. Because the moment someone understands your emotional triggers, they can influence your behavior without asking for it. Not always maliciously, sometimes instinctively, but the effect is the same. Subtle influence, hidden power, psychological positioning. And today, you'll see 7 of the most common tricks people use without you realizing it. But before we begin, write "aware" in the comments, because the first step to psychological power is awareness. Trick 1. Controlled silence. Most people fear silence. When a conversation pauses, they rush to fill the space. They explain more, reveal more, justify themselves. But psychologically skilled people understand something important. Silence creates pressure. When someone stops speaking and simply looks at you, your mind begins to search for answers. You start explaining things that were never asked. Negotiators use this. Interrogators use this. And highly observant individuals use it in normal conversation. They say less and let your mind do the work. The person who tolerates silence the longest often controls the conversation. Trick 2. Strategic validation. Most manipulation does not begin with criticism. It begins with agreement. Someone nods. They understand you. They validate your perspective. And slowly, you begin trusting them. But here's the hidden strategy. Once someone gains your psychological trust, their opinions begin to carry more weight in your mind. Now, when they challenge your thinking, it feels reasonable. Because the brain remembers, this person understands me. The validation was not always fake, but it created something powerful. Influence permission. Quick question. Which of these do you notice more in your life? Silence or validation? Type silence or validation in the comments. Your answer reveals which tactic you encounter more often. Trick 3. Emotional mirroring. Humans trust people who feel familiar. And one of the fastest ways to create familiarity is mirroring behavior. Notice this carefully. Someone copies your tone, your speaking speed, your emotional reactions. Not perfectly, just subtly enough that your brain recognizes similarity. Your subconscious begins thinking, "This person is like me." And similarity creates trust. Psychologists call this behavioral mirroring. Sales professionals use it. Negotiators use it. Highly socially intelligent people use it without even realizing it. It lowers resistance, and once resistance drops, influence becomes easier. Trick 4. The scarcity signal. People value what feels limited. This is a powerful psychological principle. If someone always responds immediately, always available, always agreeable, their presence begins to feel common. But when someone is occasionally unavailable, slow to respond, or selective with their attention, something changes. Your brain interprets it as scarcity, and scarcity increases perceived value. Not because the person is better, but because the mind assumes, if access is limited, it must be important. This is why some people intentionally control their availability, not to manipulate, but to protect their perceived value. Let's test awareness. Which one do you think creates more respect? Unlimited availability or selective availability? Comment unlimited or selective. Your answer reveals how you understand social value. Trick 5. The confusion frame. Clear communication creates control, but confusion creates influence. Some people intentionally speak in vague or complex ways during disagreements, not because they are intelligent, but because confusion shifts the emotional balance. When your mind struggles to follow the conversation, you become uncertain, and uncertainty weakens your confidence. This tactic appears in arguments, negotiations, and even workplace discussions. The person who defines the conversation clearly usually controls it. The person who creates confusion often escapes accountability. Trick 6. The subtle guilt trigger. Guilt is one of the most powerful emotional levers in human psychology, and it rarely appears as direct accusation. Instead, it sounds like this: "I guess I expected more from you," or "I just thought you cared." These statements don't attack directly, but they trigger an internal reaction. Your brain immediately tries to repair the relationship, even when you did nothing wrong. Because humans are wired to avoid social rejection. So the moment guilt appears, many people begin adjusting their behavior without even questioning the message. Trick 7. Emotional temperature control. This final tactic is rarely discussed, but it is extremely powerful. In any emotional situation, one person always sets the emotional temperature. If someone becomes angry, most people react emotionally. But strategically calm individuals do something different. They lower the emotional intensity. Controlled tone, measured words. And something interesting happens. The calmer person often appears more credible, more rational, more trustworthy. Not because they are right, but because emotional control signals psychological stability, and humans instinctively follow the calmest mind in the room. Now here is the important truth. Understanding these psychological patterns is not about controlling others. It is about protecting your awareness. When you recognize these behaviors, you stop reacting automatically. Instead, you observe. Ask yourself, why did that silence feel uncomfortable? Why did that validation suddenly earn my trust? Why did that guilt statement make me question myself? Awareness creates distance. Distance creates clarity. And clarity protects your decisions. The goal is not manipulation. The goal is mental independence. Most people will go through life without ever noticing these psychological patterns. They will react emotionally, respond automatically, and wonder why certain people always seem to influence them. But once you begin seeing these patterns, conversations start to look different. Power dynamics become visible. Hidden strategies become obvious. And the most unsettling realization appears. The psychological game was always there. You just couldn't see it. Until now. Most people move through life unaware of the psychology shaping their decisions. A few choose awareness. If you prefer awareness over ignorance, subscribe. Because once you understand human behavior, you begin seeing the hidden patterns everywhere. And the moment that happens, you can never unsee them.